from across the desert Southwest with your latest local coverage. This is 13 on Your Side, live at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nylander. A local man allegedly behind a hostage situation appeared before a judge today. Cody Allen Bedoya entered a plea of not guilty to 3 felony charges of kidnapping. In a previous interview with 13 on Your Side, Bedoya's mother claims the charges against her son, Cody, are not true. The facts of this case, though, will be hashed out in court. As officials from the Yuma Police Department say they followed protocol, Bedoya will head back to court for conditions of release hearing next week. A family of 5 in Yuma are left without their house tonight after a kitchen fire destroyed their entire home. 13 on Your Side reporter Chase Golightly spoke to the family to find out exactly what caused that fire. He joins us now live in the studio with those details tonight. Chase?
Of course, the fire happened Sunday in the foothills while the family and friends were having a cookout. By the time they noticed the flames inside, it was too late to stop the flames from spreading through the entire house.
It's a traumatic experience. Just coming and seeing everything how it is, I mean, everything's gone, and it's heartbreaking.
On Monday, Erica Gutierrez and her boyfriend Felix Acosta are searching through ash and debris, looking for anything that could have survived the fire that engulfed their home.
I left a pot of oil on the stove. I completely forgot. I went to the store really quick to get salt, came back, and it was on fire.
No one was harmed in the fire, and the family's 3 kids were not at the home when the incident happened. Neighbors called authorities and tried to put out the blaze themselves with a fire extinguisher.
We tried to do what we could. The neighbor across the street, he went all out. He actually went into the house and he opened the door and tried to turn it off with his extinguisher, but it was just too strong, you know.
I got it. I seen smoke went running over there. Kitchen was on fire, living room was on fire. I shot it a few times, had to go out for air, went back in and shot it again.
Neighbors say it was 20 minutes before firefighters came to the scene to put out the flames, but by then it was too late. Almost everything inside the home was destroyed.
My purse was inside, my rent money was inside.
The American Red Cross is now helping with clothes, money, and a place to stay while the family decides what to do next.
Go forward, I guess, and start from the bottom.
Oh, that's the thing you always think, what am I going to do now? Well, the thing to do is to move on. I mean, we had just moved in 2 months ago to start over, and this happened, and what are we going to do? Just start over again, just move on. I mean, that's all you can do.
The family has started a GoFundMe page and are accepting donations to pay for what was lost in the fire. The link is here on the bottom of your screen, or you can go to our website, kswt.com, for that link. Live in the studio for 13 on Your Side, I'm Chase Golightly. Back to you, Chorus.
Very sad situation. Thoughts are with them tonight. Thanks for that report, Chase. Amtrak's busy northeast corridor is back and open tonight, one day after a deadly crash south of Philadelphia. Although passengers are being told to expect delays, a train bound for Georgia hit equipment on the track Sunday, killing 2 workers and injuring dozens of passengers. CBS's Chris Van Cleve has the latest tonight.
Twisted wreckage shows the force of the deadly collision. Train 89's engineer hit the emergency brakes 5 seconds before striking the backhoe. The train was going 106 miles per hour, just under the 110 miles per hour speed limit.
We're still gathering facts on that information as to who had the authority to be on that track.
Ryan Frigo with the National Transportation Safety Board says investigators have examined the train's event recorder and dash cameras.
The video shows that there was construction equipment on the track and work train equipment on the track immediately adjacent to the Amtrak train's track.
Most of the 37 people injured were sitting in the train's front car. Longtime Amtrak employees Joseph Carter Jr., age 61, and Peter Adamovich, 59, were killed on the backhoe. Federal guidelines require multiple safeguards be in place before construction work can be done on train tracks, including making the track physically inaccessible to a train and having a watchman present who can give a crew a 15-second warning before a train enters a work area. Amtrak acknowledges its track work procedures are now being reviewed. New York Senator Chuck Schumer.
But there is virtually no excuse for a backhoe to be on an active track.
It is the second deadly Amtrak accident in Pennsylvania in less than a year. Last May, train 188 derailed just 20 miles north of Chester, killing 8 and injuring more than 200. The cause is still under investigation, but the train was going twice the speed limit around a curve.
We still don't know if the train's engineer knew he was entering a work zone, as that may have required him to slow down sooner. On Tuesday, NTSB investigators are set to meet with the surviving members of the work crew. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Chester, Pennsylvania.
The Supreme Court handed conservatives a loss today in a key voting rights case. In a unanimous result, the court said a state can draw legislative districts based on total population. At issue in the case was the one-person, one-vote principle dating back to the 1960s. That's when the court held that state legislative districts must be drawn so they are equal in population. But until today, the court never specified whether that doctrine applied to the general population or just to the voting population. As conservatives suggested in this case, civil rights groups watched the case carefully, fearful that if the court were to rule with the plaintiffs, it could potentially shift power from urban areas to rural areas that are more likely to favor Republicans. Wisconsin's primary is tomorrow. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are neck and neck while Donald Trump trails Ted Cruz. CBS's Craig Boswell reports the state could have an enormous impact on Trump's quest to clinch the nomination before the convention.
And it's 2-year-old sharp cheddar.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz says Wisconsin could be a game changer.
Wisconsin is going to be pivotal. It'll be pivotal for the national debate. The entire country is looking at Wisconsin.
The latest CBS News Battleground poll shows Cruz 6 points ahead of Donald Trump.
If we don't win here, it's not over. But wouldn't you like to take the credit in Wisconsin for ending it?
Trump needs to win about 60% of the remaining delegates to clinch the Republican nomination before the convention. John Kasich wants to force the party's first contested gathering in 4 decades.
It's very, very unfair just to have a stubborn guy like that to be campaigning.
He said he needs to get out because he's getting my votes, and I want to have my votes. This is not fair. I thought we got out of the sandbox years ago.
42 GOP delegates are at stake in Wisconsin. There are 86 delegates up for grabs for the Democrats. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are in a virtual tie.
I think we win here, we win in New York State, we're on our way to the White House.
Clinton campaigned in New York the same day the governor signed a bill to raise the minimum wage to $15.
Donald Trump has said that wages are too high.
New York votes in 2 weeks. Craig Boswell, CBS News, the White House.
The Democrats agreed to another debate on April 14th in Brooklyn, 5 days ahead of New York's primary. Paul Ryan, in his first trip abroad as House Speaker, insisted he would not eventually emerge as the Republican presidential nominee. The Wisconsin lawmaker spoke on Sunday with the Times of Israel while in Jerusalem as part of a congressional delegation trip. Ryan has been mentioned as a consensus nominee should Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich fall short of the delegates needed to clinch the party nomination. Ryan told the Times of Israel that there were, quote, lots of reasons he stayed out of the 2016 presidential race, including his, quote, young family and the heavy candidate field. The EU has started shipping migrants back to Turkey this morning, over 200 of them. Amnesty International criticized the new system as a dangerous deal. More than 1 million people crossed the Mediterranean Sea last year to Europe, the biggest influx of people to Europe since the end of the Second World War. CBS's Holly Williams has the latest tonight.
The migrants were bussed into Lesbos port before dawn and behind lines of riot police. Each person being sent back had a chaperone, and we captured proof that their wrists were bound while on board the buses. The Greek authorities said none of the migrants had applied for asylum in Europe. But thousands of other people in Greece who were at risk of deportation have fled war in Syria and Iraq, and then risked their lives to cross from Turkey to Greece in rickety boats and inflatable rafts. Greece's refugee camps have now become detention centres. Fenced in behind razor wire, we met Abdul Rahman Balash, who told us he came from Damascus in Syria and wants to go to Germany or Sweden, where it's safe. But the Greek police quickly intervened.
But he wants to speak to us. Why can't we?
And then ended our interview. Some migrants haven't been able to contain their frustration in recent days. Several hundred people even managed to break out of a detention center on the island of Chios.
If you're seeking asylum, you're not committing a crime. This is a universal human right. You shouldn't.
Boris Cheshikov is a spokesman for the United Nations Refugee Agency and fears that Europe's determination to stop the migrants could mean that some aren't given the protection they deserve.
They have to be given an individual process, and so they can explain why they have to stay, because they fear for their lives.
The question now is whether locking migrants up and deporting some of them actually stops others from coming. There's been a drop in numbers in the last few days, but on Monday morning, the Greek government said that more than 300 people had arrived in the previous 24 hours. Holly Williams, CBS News, Lesvos, Greece.
Live from across the desert Southwest, this is 13 on Your Side.
Good evening. We are looking at temperatures yet again warmer than average. How warm? 93 degrees across the area. The good news is, though, before we hit 100 degrees, well, we have a weather maker on its way in. This one actually looks like we got a chance at rain, and it's currently spinning well off the coast, but believe it or not, we've already seen the effects. We've seen a little bit of clouds move in, and we'll continue to see more clouds, more moisture, and yes, at least a chance of rain. We'll talk about when to expect that coming up in your 7-day forecast. Let's send it back to Chorus.
Thanks, Nick. A heat wave in the year 2030 could kill as many as 11,000 people. That's according to a scientific assessment on climate change released by the Obama administration today. The report, called The Impacts of Climate Change on Human Health in the United States, was developed over 3 years by 100 experts in climate change science and public health. The report says extreme heat can be expected to cause an increase in the number of premature deaths from thousands to tens of thousands each summer. Researchers estimate heat-related deaths will reach 27,000 during the summer of 2100. The report also says people should expect air pollution and airborne allergens to increase in the coming years. An earthquake drill took place today in Mexicali in commemoration of the 7.2 earthquake that hit the capital of Baja California years ago today. Government, federal, and state sectors throughout the state participated in the event. Fire departments and other rescue teams were responsible for sounding the sirens at 9:15 a.m. to start the drill. Civil protection officials say it's important to be prepared because we live in an earthquake zone.
After an earthquake or a serious event, people take much responsibility. They are well informed and take actions, but as time passes, they begin to relax, and that's why it's important to do these kinds of drills to remind them.
According to Mexicali city officials, the city hall was evacuated in less than 3 minutes. Coming up, a historic move by California Governor Jerry Brown will explain how worker compensation in the state of California will be changing when 13 on Your Side returns in just a moment.
Live from across the desert Southwest, this is 13 on Your Side.
Welcome back. California Governor Jerry Brown signs a bill raising the state minimum wage into law today. It makes California the first state in the country with a minimum wage of $15 an hour. The wage will rise slowly from its current $10 an hour over the next 6 years. It begins with a 50-cent per hour rise in January and will reach $15 an hour by the year 2022. It will increase further based on inflation beginning in the year 2024.
So this is about economic justice. It's about people. It's about creating a little tiny balance in a system that every day becomes more unbalanced.
New York State has also reached a deal to eventually raise the state's minimum wage to $15. It comes in the state's 2016 to 2017 budget package, which legislators passed last week. Meanwhile, New Jersey and the District of Columbia may include a $15 minimum wage proposal on upcoming ballots, and several U.S. cities and counties, including Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle, have already approved a $15 an hour minimum wage. And this brings us to our topic of the day. We asked you, what do you think about California raising the minimum wage to $15? Karen told us at 13 on Your Side, quote, "We need to raise the minimum wage. People need to be able to live and feed their families," end quote. You can still weigh in on our topic of the day either on Facebook, Twitter, or our website, KSWT.com. Up next, perhaps the largest leak of world leader information in history. We'll explain what this release means for the super rich and powerful. 13 on Your Side. We'll be right back. A massive document leak out of Panama has revealed how world leaders and the rich and powerful may be hiding billions of dollars. The so-called Panama Papers are already being dubbed the WikiLeaks of the mega rich. CBS's Don Dollar reports from New York tonight.
Some of the names revealed in the documents are a rogues gallery of dictators and criminals, but also included are 12 world leaders who've allegedly evaded taxes in offshore accounts. The unprecedented leak had an immediate impact. In Iceland, the prime minister walked out of an interview after he was asked to explain how he and his wife used an offshore company to allegedly hide a $4 million investment. Huge crowds gathered today to demand his resignation. In Ukraine, while his country was at war, the leaked documents indicate that President Petro Poroshenko moved his business fortune to the British Virgin Islands to avoid paying taxes. And British Prime Minister David Cameron is facing questions about his father's offshore investments. Michael Hudson is among the reporters who have been studying the documents for months.
And the paperwork makes it clear that they wanted it structured in a way that the profits from these investments would not be taxed in the UK.
Mossack Fonseca specializes in offshore finances, and while that's not generally illegal, journalists who've seen the documents say the leak reveals money laundering schemes, sanctions busting, and other crimes. Former Treasury Officer Chip Ponce.
Every one of these devastating types of harms relies on financial support, infrastructure that is often serviced by what you see in the Panama Papers.
The documents also show how close associates of Vladimir Putin allegedly ran a multi-billion-dollar money laundering ring through Bank Rossiya, while it was subject to U.S. sanctions after Russia annexed Crimea. And Syria's government circumvented international sanctions using shell companies in the Seychelles. In an interview with a Panamanian TV station, the law firm's co-founder, Ramon Fonseca, said they've never been found guilty of anything in their 40 years of business. We are a knife factory, he says, that sells knives. And if the knife is used for a murder, we are not responsible.
So far, no American politicians or companies have been named, but there are other investigations already underway around the globe, including Australia, Germany, the Netherlands, and France. Don Daler, CBS News, New York.
Live from across the desert Southwest, this is 13 on Your Side.
Chief Meteorologist Nick Maruzak. Desert Doppler showing a few clouds strolling across the area. Now, we will continue to see periods of a few clouds, but I don't think we're going to quite see this many yet again, at least not until at least Thursday. Now, temperatures around town pretty mild, although they are pretty significantly up from where they were this time last week. This time last week, we were lucky to see 70s. Today, well, it's 10 p.m. at night, and we're still seeing temperatures right up against the 80-degree mark in Yuma, and look at Blythe, 81 degrees even. Now tonight, again, things will begin to settle down as we go through, but don't expect temperatures to drop into the 50s or 40s. We're expecting most temperatures to stay well in the upper 50s, 58 in Brawley, 58 in Imperial. Moving things east, we'll actually say 60s along the Colorado River. Look at Winter Haven, Yuma, 63 with 61 at YPG, and overall it'll be a comfortable night, but Again, not quite as cool as it has been, and we're going to see more and more moisture being moved in, so it would not shock me if these temperatures continue to go up at night. Now, as for tomorrow, 90s across the area, mostly sunny skies, and realistically, tomorrow's going to be the last day that we will see mostly sunny skies throughout the entire day. We are still tracking this low pressure system as it continues to wander and meander. Now, what we are looking at is a low that is cut off, meaning that it's not going to be moving too far, and as it sits here over the Pacific, it's going to pump a lot of moisture in, at least when for this time of year. Usually this is starting our dry season. As it does this, we're going to see just a bit more clouds, and then, well, it's going to be really Thursday into Friday when we start to see the real effects of it. And then as it moves actually onshore, we're going to see another chance of rainfall. So not one, but two opportunities this week. And unfortunately for us, though, it still looks like it's going to be low probability. Why? Well, of course, we have a ton of dry air to get through. So even as the rain falls, it may not hit the ground. So we are still looking at least the possibility of some rain. Now, it will be warm the next 2 days. Then Thursday into Friday, we do have a chance. Don't go running for the umbrellas quite yet. We are still looking at the possibility of just some raindrops. Sunday through Monday, our temperatures will be much cooler this time next week. So again, there are some rather big changes here in the 7-day forecast, especially for Thursday into Friday, of course.
Don't mind some cooler temperatures, Nick. Thank you. Coming up, a family in Yuma needs your help tonight as their daughter battles a serious illness. We'll tell you how you can help next on 13 on Your Side.
Live from across the desert Southwest, this is 13 on Your Side.
Welcome back. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and an organization in Yuma is helping victims find a safe haven. The Healing Journey is a nonprofit organization that offers life skills classes and prevention programs to help victims of child abuse, domestic violence, or sexual abuse. All throughout the month of April, they'll be hosting a number of events to celebrate the survivors. Estrella Fitch, founder of Healing Journey, says that the impact this organization has on the community is immense.
Some women that have come to the center for help leave empowered, recognizing that they shouldn't allow abuse from their boyfriends, fathers, or husbands, and that they have the right to be happy.
This Friday, Healing Journey will host an event at the main library for child trafficking from 9 to 4 p.m. The purpose of the event is to educate the community about child abuse. A family in Yuma is asking the community to register and be bone marrow donors while their daughter is fighting a serious illness. 13 on Your Side reporter Phoenix O'Connor met with that family. Take a look.
Eliana East has been fighting her whole life. She was 3 months old when doctors found an infection in her belly button. She was diagnosed with a life-threatening condition.
She has a rare form of severe congenital neutropenia called Costman syndrome.
The disease makes it tough for her to fight infections, meaning a simple fever could send Eliana straight to the hospital.
Her bone marrow doesn't produce neutrophils, the white blood cell that attack infection in your body.
To keep Eliana healthy, her parents give her a shot every day to produce neutrophils until there is a match for a transplant. Eliana's mom, Melissa East, says even though daily medication keeps her strong, doctors say it could lead to leukemia.
The chance of finding a donor match is a lot harder to find than money, so that's what's most important to our family.
The East family says they're encouraging everyone to join BeTheMatch.org or SaluteToLife.org for military members and dependents.
After you register online, you'll receive a donor package, and with just an easy step, you could save a life.
Just registering is the easiest part. It's a mouth swab, really, is all it is. I'll fill out some information and you send it in. If you are a match for someone down the road, they won't tell you who it is. Right off the bat, they'll tell you a couple of specifics, age and gender. I ask you if you want to donate, and you can.
To learn more about how you can help their family, visit Team Eliana Rose on Facebook. Reporting in Yuma, 13 on Your Side, Phoenix O'Connor.
Watch out, Elvis impersonators, J-Lo and Britney. Here come the Backstreet Boys. The one-time boy band has inked a deal for a trial run of shows in Las Vegas. According to member Nick Carter, the group has a deal for 9 shows in Sin City. These performances are part of an upcoming worldwide tour. Carter also says the Backstreet Boys are working on a new album. No word on a release date just yet. It may very well be the police chase of the century. Well, not really, but we'll tell you what this dog was accused of doing that led California Highway Patrol on a hot pursuit. 13 on your side. We'll be right back. A wily fugitive led the California Highway Patrol on a car and motorcycle chase in San Francisco. The runaway was this Chihuahua. Some drivers ratted him out and told police he was darting in and out of traffic. When cops showed up, this little guy dashed over the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. The Highway Patrol briefly stopped traffic and went after the pooch. The dog didn't make it easy, though. He weaved across 5 lanes trying to get away from the officers. Police eventually caught the little fella and turned him over to animal control officers. They will try to track down the dog's owner or find the pup a new home, but he couldn't get away from the police. Thanks for watching 13 on Your Side this evening. That does it for this edition of 13 on Your Side live at 10. For all of us here on Course Nylander, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.